we'll just recap one more time. We've got a green, clean fuel source. It produces clean water as a waste off. It can reuse energy. It takes the size of a refrigerator and maybe the square footage for a windmill and a tank essentially to build. So you're having trouble getting the message about this across because nobody will respond to you, and you've got the solution that could fix the world easily within 5 to 10 years.
I've got a new fuel that's zero carbon. It could fix the world's problems, I believe. I've contacted thousands of people who will not reply back to me. Government should be replying to me. Some funds are called green funds. They don't even take it up because it's not on their radar. Oh, if you could take carbon out of oil in Alberta, oh yeah, we've got a plan for that. But a green fuel with no carbon to start with, oh, we can't pigeonhole that. We don't know what do we do with it? You invest in it and make it happen. To me, it's simple logic. I just don't understand. My name is Roger Gordon. I'm one of a group of scientists, and we hold the patent for the world's only zero carbon fuel. It costs less than gas and diesel. It's about 30 cents a litre right now. The fuel runs every kind of vehicle, trucks, cars, jets, planes, big trucks. I do my normal day-to-day job, and then I try to get this fuel going as a sideline. So if I work my 50 or 60 hours a week at my normal job, then I work another 20 or 30 hours a week trying to get GREENNH3 moving, as do other scientists. We've got scientists from all the top universities in North America that continually phone me and say, Roger, I haven't talked to you for a month, what's changed? And nothing has changed in a month. It gets so aggravating that I have nothing to tell them, and it's a month or 2 months since we've talked. They seem to think that this is going to happen overnight. Well, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen, but it's going to be a slow process. And I keep coming back to the politicians because they have the power. They with one swipe of a pen, this could be actually going tomorrow. We could be making fuel, we could be making machines, and we can't get a reply from all these people in the power. If they weren't standing up making speeches saying, we've got to get rid of carbon, carbon's killing the world, the ocean's going to rise 3 feet, New York's going to be underwater. If they'd stop saying it, then I'd say, oh, everything's all right, okay, I'll go about my business. They can't on 1 minute say that and the next minute not answer somebody from their country with the patented cure in their hands. They don't give patents to things that are not real. You try to patent a new potato peeler. They won't even. They'll say no. There's already potato peelers. When we got the patent, it cost us $50,000 to answer all their questions. That's above and beyond the $30,000 it cost for the original application. They had more questions than you would believe, and that's good. So that when they gave the patent, then that showed that it was true and solid, and they had checked it out from one end to the other. The day that MPP read the petition to the Ontario government in 2014, I believe it was March 26th, and I thought, okay, we've got that petition registered now. Somebody has to recognize this as a fuel. We've got it made now. And they didn't make any more reply to us after the petition than before.
You have fridge-sized machines that are easy to repair, can produce jobs, produce clean energy, save people millions of dollars in the long run, recuperating the cost of said machine, and the government doesn't want to sign up for this.
The government, I think, it could be as simple as they don't want to get involved because they're too lazy. Because let's say you got a job today, and you're doing and everything's going fine, and then somebody comes in tomorrow and says, okay, now Joe, you've been working 8 hours a day doing this, now we're going to give you this new thing and it's going to take you an extra hour. Whoa. I got to work 9 hours a day now. So one consultant told us it could be something as simple as they just don't want to do more. To take it on the other end of the scale, it could be that there's people in the world that are controlling them that we don't know who they are, but they didn't get a vote in Canada, but they're controlling whatever government there. I've got people every day giving me conspiracy theories. I have enough conspiracy theories that I could sink a ship. Last week I talked to the National Post. I put ad in the New York Times one time. Actually, the New York Times gave me a free ad one time. I've put ads in the National Post. I put ads in the Toronto Star. People look at it, say, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm busy. Okay, see dear, I'm on. They just don't have the
They're so busy doing what they're doing that they don't have 2 minutes or $2 to spare. We were angry because of CBC being people's media. We said they've got to put this on. If somebody doesn't know about it, it's their job to make them know about it. They won't put it on. I said to the lawyers, I can't get a reply from the CBC, you do it. So they couldn't get a reply. Sent registered mail to the CBC, finally got a cheap message back. We're in charge of what goes on in the message that goes out to the people, not you. I asked the guy, have you ever heard of this fuel? No, never heard of it. Well, then would you not think it's news? All right, what are you paying for a tank of gas? Oh, $100. Would you not want to fill up for 30? With clean fuel rather than dirty fuel? When you fly across the ocean, would you not rather fly clean than dirty? We've been contacted by everybody that has wave machines, tidal machines. The guys from Hawaii have these lava grabbing machines, chillers working in reverse. They're all ready to go. You got a machine, you got a windmill, and you got a fuel tank. He says, and that's all you need? I said, yep. And then in a tank, it's like propane. In a tank, it's under pressure, it doesn't evaporate. If you open it, it vaporizes on. So just like propane, only it's got no carbon. Yeah. And in the vehicle, it runs completely clean. So in a vehicle, if you run propane in a vehicle, you'll find that it's cleaner than running diesel. And this is the Ultra, because it's got no carbon. That when you take the engine apart after 100,000 miles, it's completely clean the way it was built. Say you're in downtown Mexico or downtown Toronto, and there's all the time particulates in that from the diesel or the gas, and if they disappear, the NH3 combustion formula is right there. It's so much NH3 and oxygen in, and so much nitrogen and water out. So actually, for 4 parts of NH3 going in, you get 6 parts of water out. So the people from the desert were talking about, well, this would be a great way to do electricity in the desert because we're going to get water out as a benefit. They said we could get a couple thousand gallons of water. 2,000 gallons of water in the desert is worth more than the price of the fuel. And you can breathe. What's coming out of the tailpipe of this? You can breathe and drink. So nitrogen, which is 78% of the air to start with, is coming out of the tailpipe, and water, which you can have a glass of water. The electricity runs our machine. Our machine fills a barge full of fuel. They've got free fuel. Well, not free, but very low cost fuel. If you see, when you see the waves moving, there's energy. You just have to grab that energy, make it into fuel, you've got fuel.
Let's talk about the scalability. So you started with a machine that you can essentially put on your table. It looks like a small fridge. It's
Yep.
very compact.
Yep.
And that produced, you said, a liter every hour.
About that, yeah. About maybe 20 liters a day. Yeah.
So if you upscale that, how big do you want to see these machines? What's the percentage of liter do you expect they would produce?
We suggest to build a refrigerator-sized machines that will create 500 liters a day.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it. 'Cause
Yeah.
like I imagined like giant stacks or whatever.
Right. No. This is just like a refrigerator. If something breaks in this machine, we want to have it portable. We can just roll it in. It'll have wheels and just roll it in, roll it out. And that's our idea, is to have. Let's say this mine in the far north. They might have 50 machines. And they'll have spares there, and they'll have people there to fix them. And so they'll make their own fuel. They'll have their wind machines running. Maybe the wind machine breaks down, they have to repair that. They'll have to have people to repair that. All these people, these are all jobs we're talking about that don't exist today. So above and beyond the oil business, thousands and thousands of jobs. Our consultant predicts 100,000 jobs in North America from this within 5 years after we break out.
Through your fuel source, Canada could potentially save so much more money that it could come back to the communities.
If a small family, say their gasoline's costing them, let's just say $5,000 for easy picking, $5,000 in somebody's pocket. Just think of how much easier a family's life would be with 5,000 extra dollars in their pocket. And that's just a family of, 3 or 4 people. Millions and millions of dollars going to waste. Out to the fuel company. Lots and lots of them have told me that they're buying over $2 million worth of fuel and nitrogen fertilizer a year, so that we could cut that price in half for sure. So we could save that farm $1 million, which that would be probably their upstart cost by the time they bought a large wind machine. So in the first year they would pay that off. The second year they would save $1 million. The next year they'd save $1 million. The next year they'd save $1 million. So these machines that they would be buying would pay for themselves every year. So without even farming, even if they only broke even in the farm, they'd be making $1 million a year on their input savings. Well, airlines, for example, today are paying $1 a liter for fuel or close to it. We suggest that we can supply them, or they could make their own supply for 30 cents a liter. So if you take the cost of an airline flight, the airlines tell us that over 50% of the cost of an airline flight is the fuel. There'll be no carbon tax on NH3 since there's no carbon. So let's just say on that flight that it's costing them $100,000 to make that flight today, and suddenly their cost drops to $75,000. That's $25,000. That's a quarter of the price of the airline ticket. So instead of you paying $1,200 to fly, you might only pay $900 to fly. I don't want to see the GDP of the world drop, but the cost of the fuel will drop. The cost of the carbon tax will disappear. Right now, today in BC, you pay a carbon tax. I believe the first of the year in Canada, you're going to start paying a carbon tax. We will make it so that industry won't have to pay a carbon tax because there'll be no carbon. So it's the reverse of oil. In so many ways, it's the reverse of oil. So every liter you pump, now you fill up at the gas tank pump, every liter you put in your car, that stimulates the price to go up. Okay? The more they sell, we can charge more. So they'll put it up. The cost of the fuel has nothing to do with the price of oil. The cost of fuel has to do with how much they figure they can charge you. When oil was $100 a barrel, fuel was $1 a liter. When oil dropped to $50 a barrel, fuel was still $1 a liter. It has nothing to do with the price of oil. It's just how much Irving's figure they can refine and charge.
Now, is there a risk of explosion or anything like that?
It's the reverse, actually. It will not explode. And so in order to actually make it work, you have to use a little bit of igniter fuel. We have two ways of doing it. You can extract hydrogen from the NH3 at the engine. We have a little box the size of a cigar box, and it will take off a little bit of hydrogen. You have to use that as an igniter fuel. If you want 1 or 2% igniter fuel in order to make the NH3 explode. So in a tank, you can take a tank and put it over a fire, it won't explode. Shoot a gun in it, it won't explode. Put a little bit of igniter fuel with it, it becomes a fuel. In a regular engine, you're using, say you buy a new car from the lot, it has injection into each cylinder. So with ours, we put, when we do a conversion, we have a little hose going into each intake manifold. We just rejig the computer that's on the car to switch that it starts on regular fuel and then it goes back to 97% NH3. So actually we're running between 2 and 3% igniter fuel. And we use the original gasoline as the igniter fuel. We can strip hydrogen off the NH3. If for whatever reason we didn't want to have any gasoline igniter fuel, we just put a little stripper box there and strip off a little bit of hydrogen, use it as the igniter fuel.
This product could essentially be safer for the entire world. We're not transporting trains of oil then.
Exactly, that's something we didn't mention.
Yeah.
This fuel doesn't need to be transported. This fuel is made where you use it. So there's no need to transport this around in tanker trucks because it's made where you use it. If you're going to use it here, you make it here. So there's also a fuel saving, energy saving to that. You don't have to transport the oil to the refinery. You don't have to transport the refined product to the gas stations. You don't have to account for the energy that's used in that. This is the reverse of oil. Everything you think about oil, first of all, you have to find it. Then you have to drill it. Then it goes in a pipeline and spills and causes a whole bunch of environmental problems. These oil companies that are out in Alberta in the tar sands, they're going to walk away, you can be sure, at some point in time, and it'll just be like another disaster, like up in the Arctic someplace, and there's a disaster up there, and who ends up paying for it? The citizens of Canada. Whereas with the green NH3, there's no cost to the citizens, it's only a savings. It's the reverse of oil. It's the complete reverse of oil. Anything pretty well you can think about oil, the green NH3 cleans up the world as you use it.
Comparatively to oil, there's zero danger for your gas.
The only danger of green NH3 is if you took it and breathed it. And I'm not trying to cover that in any way. Obviously, if something has caustic written on it that you don't want to have it in your body. We more or less tripped over the idea for this machine, and it took us about 9 years to come up with a machine from say 2000 to 2009. When we got the first machine working, I remember the day we got the first test. You just use a litmus test for ammonia. There's the ammonia. Bang, we had ammonia. So we knew we had it. And we built another machine in 2010. We applied for the patent in 2010. The patent came through in 2014. But sometime after we applied for the patent, the phone started to ring with people that realized that it was a transportation fuel. And from that, it became an energy storage tool. Just actually recently, with the electricity prices in Ontario going up in the last couple of years, we realized that this would be good for the windmills, because when the wind's blowing at 3 in the morning and nobody needs the electricity, you'll drive by these windmills up at Shelburne or Cambridge or Chatham, and you'll see them sitting not running. And you say, well, there's lots of wind, why wouldn't they be running them? Because nobody needs the electricity right then, so they don't bother running the windmill. But all that energy that's blowing past that windmill could be made into fuel to bring back out at the peak. Well, like I say, 90% of this project isn't making this video, it's getting it out there. If they have a question, just to go onto the GREENNH3 website and it'll get answered. Because if I can't answer it, I got 100 scientists, or maybe 1,000 scientists that can. I've got cheerleaders. I've got people from University of Texas Tech, University of Florida, University of Iowa, University of Michigan, University of Ontario in Oshawa, University of New Brunswick in Fredericton. I've got all these cheerleaders that just, come on, let's get this going, yeah. They got no money, they've got a little bit of time, so we just got to figure a way to make it happen.
We all need to come together and make it
Yes,
happen.
yes. And the jobs, like just think, anybody that's listening to this, you know that there's somebody out there that's underemployed or unemployed. And if this fuel comes along and creates 100,000 jobs, the consultant at the university tells me, Roger, your problem isn't going to be employing people, it's going to be in finding people to employ. Because the time is soon coming where there's going to be more jobs than there are people to fill them.